It's almost 7 a.m. and I'm really sad. I can't even put it into words. I can put some of it into words, but I feel disconnected from my ancestors. That's the gist of it. Disconnected from my ancestors. My entire lineage. I feel like it's broken. I feel like Gobekli Tepe is it was buried, and that it's gonna, at the current rate that we're digging it up, which is slow because we're doing it carefully so that we don't damage anything, so we have to do it slowly. It's not gonna fully be excavated until like more than 150 years from now. So but and who knows what we're gonna find. I'm not gonna be around to know. I'll never know, ever. But that's part of what it is. I'll never know, ever, what's at the bottom of this tower. I don't know, if there's so much left underground, then is it like a tower, like the Tower of Babel or something? Where is that? Because I don't know if we actually have found Tower of Babel, but it's probably actually a place. Or got knocked down. But it's dated to be around 11,600 years old, so this giant structure which hunter-gatherers built, which is what is being taught. Hunter-gatherer, I don't know if you'd call them hunter-gatherers if they can build something like that. Like, is that all that they did? Like, or did they also grow crops? I mean, probably. How could you build something that monumental? But the thing is, it got buried 11,600 years ago. It was fully built before that. It was around possibly for thousands of years before civilization started, or what we consider the beginning of civilization in the mainstream story, the mainstream anthropology. But it's wrong. It's wrong, and I don't know what's right. I'm wrong. We're all wrong. And we don't know how we're wrong. And we don't even know where the wrong parts are. It's like we don't know what we don't know. Like, oh my God. It gives me shivers. It really does, because it's so crazy. And it makes me like, it's something I really care about. But what makes me sad is that, like, what was it like? You know, like, if I had been around before it got buried, before the comet hit, which there's a crater in Greenland that hit about 12,000 years ago. But I just think about that, and I'm like, there was something big, something really big, and we'll never have the picture. We'll never have the full picture. It's gone forever. A beautiful, something beautiful had existed, probably for thousands of years already. Probably a very, very long time. And we don't know what it was. We don't know what it looked like, because we don't have the full story. And we never will. Ever. And we're probably going to end up like them. And it's not them, it's really us. Because it's just like us, you know? And now they're all dead. And I'm sure a very small number of them died of old age. But we'll just never know. Like, we had something was really beautiful back then. And it was like a glass house, a beautiful glass house, and it got crushed into sand. And other small pieces, maybe a little bit bigger. So and all we got left is these pieces. But some of it's just dust. There are missing pieces that we will never be able to put back in their place. It's not like a puzzle you can put back together. It's like burning half of a piece of paper and then tearing up the rest of it that didn't burn. And that's what we've got. But most of those pieces are buried underground in places we'll never find them. That's why I'm sad. How does it feel? How does it feel to be living in the aftermath? That's what we are. We're like, we were born during the aftermath. This is the aftermath. And now we just, like, another thing that makes me really sad is I saw some geese flying like a, like a V flock. And it was like 12 or 15 of them in this V, and I could hear them coming. And I looked at them and I was like, wow, this is the migration. And there's only 15. I shouldn't be able to see the sky, like 200 years ago. 200 years ago, there would have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of geese. Did you know that the fish today are only about less than 3% the size of the fish 200 years ago? 200 years ago, you could stick a bucket and like submerge a bucket under some water, like a lake or something, or like a stream, and like pull it up and just have a bucket full of fish. Good sized fish, like big fish. And you can't do that. You just get water now. But there are benefits. You may not find so many fish, but you can dip your hand into the ether and pull out, instead of a bucket of fish, a wealth of knowledge. Knowledge now for us is just as plentiful as life was. It's like the trade-off we made. And I guess life hasn't gone down too much. It's just all that biomass like moved to humans. It's now human biomass. Except only 10% of what we eat actually is incorporated into us. So, the rest, you like turn. But I was in Colorado, and I went on a couple hikes while I was over there, and I went off the trail. Like, I went out of the way, all by myself, in the woods, where there were bears and like. But people are like, don't go out there by yourself, cause because there are bears and mountain lions, and there's things out there that'll get you. And you know what? Any other time in history, I would be in some animal's belly right now, because I went out there all by myself in places where people usually don't go. I think I stumbled on a little spot where animals, like probably like a mountain lion. It was like 2 hours out. No trails were even on the it was like a small mountain, kind of. There were no trails on that mountain. I just went straight into the wilderness and just kept going for 2 hours, just on the ridge. And I was just going, and like half an hour into it, I literally walked right past like the spine and ribs of something that was, I think it was bigger than me. I don't know what it was, but something had died there. And keep in mind, I kept going in the same direction for an hour and a half after I saw this thing. I just was being loud and stuff, like whacking things with sticks, but it's just really funny. I only found one skeleton. There should be like more than that. But only one. And I don't know what it was of. It was just the back, like the spine and ribs, some ribs. And it wasn't a full rib cage, it was like half of the back. No front ribs, just back ribs. And there were bones sticking out of the spine. I took a picture of it. And I kept going, and then I finally decided to turn around 2 hours in, when I was like, this is not my territory. This is something, I stumbled upon an area where an animal, I was sure an animal lived there. Because it was at the top. It was kind of past the top. And like I had been going uphill for like 2 hours, and then I had kind of started to reach the part where I would have been on the opposite side from civilization. Now, I would have kept going, because I started early-ish. I would have kept going, but I decided to turn around when it was like a den. There was no animals there, but it was like, there was like foliage on the ground, and like lots of dead wood and stuff. And then there was this area where it was just bare dirt, and it was like a circle. And I was like, something lives here. I'm gonna turn around. And I got shivers, and I was like kind of freaked out. I got back in like quicker than, I don't know if it was quicker, but it was dangerous on the way back. I was nervous. I was a lot more nervous than on the way in after I found that thing. I was like, this is a place where something lives, and it probably still lives here. It was probably only one, though. Like, but while I was out there, there's so many bugs. Like, it was incredibly annoying how many bugs there were. And, we don't really think about it that often, I think. But, like, how often do you have to, like, if you drive, I don't drive, but if you drive, how often do you have to clean splattered bugs off your window? Like, from all the times I've rode in other people's cars, like, it's not really that often. Like, there aren't really that many bugs. Like, we're really concerned about the bees disappearing, but where are all the other bugs? It wasn't just the bees. It was everything else too. Like, if you're gonna turn 20 this year, or if you're younger than 30, ask your parents, if you have any, if you're lucky. Ask your parents or your grandparents, how often did you have to clean your windshield when you were young? Like, when you got your first car, how often did you have to clean bugs off of your, car? And they'll probably answer, a lot. Because there used to be more bugs in general. It's not just bees. It's everything. It's not even just bugs. It's everything. Like, fish are smaller, less plentiful. Birds, trees. We beat back nature with a stick. I think it makes sense, though. It's like, something happened to us. Something happened to us, and it wasn't good. Gobekli Tepe. It was buried almost 12,000 years ago. That's when it was buried. It had probably been around for quite a while before that. And there were probably lots of other places like it too. It probably wasn't the only place like that. I guarantee it. Because if you find, like the Great Pyramids of Giza, there may not be any other pyramids in the world as grand as the Pyramids of Giza, but there are pyramids on every continent. Every single one has a culture, or had a culture, that built pyramids. So there's Gobekli Tepe, but there's, just like pyramids, there's probably lots of other places kind of similar. Different styles maybe, but I would bet my life on it, and I probably wouldn't die or become a slave. Depends on how you bet your life. But I would bet my life on it. But something happened to us. I mean, wars happen, and since civilization started 12,000 years ago, wars have happened. Civilizations have been wiped out that began after that point. Information destroyed. But there were always winners. There were always winners. And that's where our history comes from. The history that we know today comes from the winners. But you want to know who won 12? We don't have anything from 12,000 years ago that we can readily say this happened or something happened, because something happened that turned it into dust and buried it. And we'll never know. We can know some, but yeah, it's really fucked up. Something happened to us. And nobody won. Everybody was the loser. And it wasn't just us. Everything lost. Something hit the earth. There's a crater, so we know something hit the earth. And it killed a lot of things. And it destroyed a lot of things. And there was no victory. There was no victory. The victory was not dying. That was the victory. And there's like whispers in the wind of something grand a long time ago. And that's all that's left. I have a song. I came up with this song because of what I'm talking about. And I actually forgot. And it's not something you easily forget unless you're trying to repress it. But to me, it's traumatizing because, like, we have a history, like, the people that we don't remember, people before this horrible catastrophe happened, how far back could they track their history? Was it 10 times longer than we have? Did they have stories? Like, the stories we have, like, I listen to Jordan Peterson a lot, and he talks about, like, how the stories we have are psychological. Like Bible stories. So the Bible is the oldest book that we have. It's actually it was actually the first book. And it's a book of separate scrolls. So it was written before there were books, and then it was turned into a book. And that's full of stories that a lot of people consider to not be true or not to have actually happened. And maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. But They are true in a psychological sense. There's morals to the story. And what were the stories of our lost people? What were their stories? What were their morals? How did they teach their children? What did the elderly know? How did they live? How did they die? What did they think happened after they died? What was their religion? We may never know. And here's the song for that.